I once built a railroad. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And it's not art. I'm Elyse Brandau.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film Velvet Buzzsaw. And as you might have noticed with the quoting going on at the beginning, Elyse Brandau from Speaking of Carrie is in the building right now, co-hosting with me. Hello.
Hello. That's my buzzsaw noise.
Shahir Dowd is currently still across many ponds. I think there's nine. There's nine. He quit?
He quit.
Well, he's across 9 to 10 ponds in New Zealand right now. So I figured, why not have one of the two co-hosts from our sister podcast, Speaking of Carrie, the Sex and the City podcast, done by for all of the lovely fans of that show. And I thought I'd invite you on to talk about a film I thought that you would have a lot in common with, but I will say you don't.
I don't think that's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing.
That's a great thing.
Spoiler alert for a little bit of opinions, but no, Elyse is an actress and also an artist. So I figured, okay, I was like, this would be. Listen, you've been in films, you've been in TV, and you also like do really, really good art. So I was like, This all makes sense for what I assumed Velvet Buzzsaw was. Now, granted, none of your paintings have come alive in mediocre ways to murder people.
Only fabulous ways.
Only amazing, fabulous ways.
Only sexy ways.
So I wanted to have you sort of on, on this show to talk about this film because I was excited about this movie.
Can I tell you something? Have you seen other Netflix trailers?
Yes.
Do you think they'd give you too much?
Oh, 100%. So this trailer,
okay.
when we were
we stopped watching this trailer because I was like, wait, we're going to see the whole movie basically.
Exactly.
A Cliff Note version.
So I had seen the movie before, and we won't spoil anything too far in advance yet, but there's
the whole movie's rotten.
There's
right?
a lot of deaths. There's a lot of deaths, and one or two of them is spoiled in the trailer, and I stopped those deaths before you saw them when I showed it to you.
Well, thank God.
The trailer itself for this film, if you haven't watched it, go watch it right now.
And then do nothing else.
And then, Elise's opinion is jumping the shark here. But
Sorry.
So the trailer actually sold me, and then
me too.
And then when you're
too.
like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's talk about this.
This looked like it was like gonna be there's some fun. Maybe not complete perfection, but like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And the really interesting part of it was I knew that Shahir probably wouldn't want to do this move. Maybe he would. I hate speaking for him, but I was excited that you were excited. And now I feel kind of bad.
That we suffered like that?
We
didn't suffer. We did not suffer
because
because I'm starting a new career and I'm taking up Mystery Science Theater 3000, and this is going to be my first movie that I
is that
riff
what
on.
we're doing?
Yes. What you should do, you should watch this movie high or with friends, and then try your luck at riffing, because this is your jungle gym to get those muscles.
This is your training wheels?
This is the movie to train on.
Wow. Well, we will get more into depth about that. But before we do,
I sound like such a jerk.
Well, we're gonna. A lot of times on this show, we do say a lot of harsh things about a lot of films and people that make them, but we also do want to
find the good.
Not even find the good, just again reiterate sort of our motto, that is, we understand that it takes a lot of people, a lot of time, and a lot of energy to even get any film made.
Correct.
And I don't believe that there are many films ever created that have been done in such a way that is purely in a vacuum or in the sense of like just for monetary gain, etc. Sometimes it happens. I don't even think Velvet Buzzsaw is one of those films. I honestly believe there are people behind it that believed in it and worked incredibly hard at it. We will discuss the problems that it has, but I just want to say that straight up top because it's going to get dicey. Yeah,
I got to work on my buzzsaw sound effects. Will you teach me, Matt Kroll? See, I knew it.
And then if it starts grinding into your neck, it's
That's like also like you like drowning and getting electrocuted at the same time.
Listen,
I
have many talents.
Two birds, one stone.
But before we get into the mixed bag, I'll say, that was Velvet Buzzsaw, let's talk a little bit about some current events mixed baggage.
Another mixed bag.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, and I don't want to go too deep, but I do want your opinions on this, Elyse.
Okay.
Oscars just happened.
It sure did.
Oscars happened
the
last
Super
Sunday
Bowl
night,
of my life.
and I know Shahir will be dying to talk about what happened.
Oh, but I'm here first.
But you are
he
here
died
first.
across the pond.
He's fine. He's fine. He didn't buy any of D's Nuts painting.
Oh, you're gonna know what that means later, but you don't now. But D's Nuts is one of the many Mystery Science Theater jokes that you will put into. God, I hope Jake Gyllenhaal listens to this.
He listens every week.
Thank God.
Jake, hello.
Jake, you need to take a lap.
But
Okay.
hold on.
All right.
Oscars. Hot takes from Elyse Brandau. What did you think of the 2019 Academy Awards?
Oh man, what did I think? Oh God, that's such a broad question. I thought they did fine without a host.
I agree.
Let's go positives, right?
Yeah.
I thought the stage looked like a pretty pink wig it was wearing.
Sure.
That was pretty cute. Looked like it was from Hairspray. I thought I did not read a lot of articles about it. Actually, I read none. I read headlines about people being very scathing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to good. The host thing. I honestly think it made every presenter kind of buck up a little bit more and like kind of take ownership over the moment, I guess, is what I want to say. Yeah, I was into that.
So the no host thing, I am now 100% on board for.
It makes it a little bit more of like what's going to happen, but also everyone's like gets a chance to have a funny.
Yeah. Well, and like,
and it's not going to be like overshadowed by like the host commenting on your presenting later.
The thing about the host is it is sort of the time killer. If they're looking for a shorter show, which I mean, again, I go back to the who is the Oscars for. I like that. The problem is no one's ever watched something that they were really enjoying and were like, this is too long. Like it's just sort of like, ugh. But that cuts down on the time if they're worried about that. If they think audience retention, if they don't have enough trust in their show to keep audience retention, then sure, that's a great thing. It did move fast. It gave more agency, like you said, to the presenters themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I thought,
and the audience had no idea what was going to be next, which is kind of nice.
Which is very nice. And then you have Julia Roberts at the end, kind of doing the real
awkward
quick end wrap up and yada yada yada.
Yeah, pink. Everyone was pink and pretty.
What do you think? I mean, highlights for me was Dana Carvey and Mike Myers. I thought that was very fun. Though I did lose power in the cabin that we were at very briefly due to the high winds at that moment, so I didn't get to see the whole thing.
I didn't actually get to hear the Dana Carvey thing. Someone was talking over it.
Oh my God. It was never meant to be. I loved Olivia's Best Actress speech.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was so nice.
It was very good. I liked a lot, most women that have ever won in one season. So that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
That's fun. What else? All the acceptance speeches were lovely except for the last one.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to the sort of the elephant in...
the musical guests were great. I really loved... Queen opened up. It wasn't really a montage. It was just two songs.
Yeah.
Adam Lambert's so glam rock, and I've seen him in concert with Queen, and that was nice. I have strong opinions about that film, but as a show and Queen doing what they do, good job.
Yeah.
Very good.
Black Panther cleaned up a bunch of stuff. Production design. Her speech was lovely. Also, the one that killed me the most, though, honestly, was Bohemian Rhapsody for best editing.
Did it win best?
It won best editing.
What was it up against?
Oh God, I'm trying to remember. But it definitely was not. I've just been blindsided and sort of thrown this whole category out of my purview because that movie. Look, I love Queen, and that can get you very, very far down the line. You can go back to listen to our Bohemian Rhapsody review, but that movie's editing was by far some of the worst I've seen in a long, long time.
It was messy.
And it was messy, but it's hard to be messy and boring, and that's what that movie's editing was. I haven't seen messy and boring.
I don't know if it was boring, but the in the room, like with the producers, all of those scenes, which were like 5,000 years long, were like, what are we doing right now? What's happening? What is it doing?
And then, of course, the elephant in the room being Green Book winning Best Picture.
Did you talk about Green Book?
We did.
Okay.
So we've reviewed every film that was nominated for Best Picture.
Good for you.
Yeah, I guess.
What would have your pick been?
I mean, I wanted Black Panther to win. I think if you take into account, we talked about this before, so I won't to reiterate too much, but if you take into account both the quality of the film and the cultural impact the film had and the meaning for the film behind the most amount of people, I would say that qualifies as a best picture of the year.
I do think the Oscars are very political, and then yes.
Yeah, and they're also, the median age is what, 62 to 66 or something like that?
And you're voting
White
for your friends,
men.
though,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
They're
you're voting for familiar things. Like, Green Book is a film that I feel like would have won. I mean, it has. I mean, Driving Miss Daisy won when beat out Spike Lee, but it feels like a film that would have won 15, 20 years ago.
It felt like it was filmed 15 or 20 years ago. I'll tell you that right now.
And again, the thing is,
I sound like such a jerk.
Well,
oh God, I love those two actors with all my heart, and they lit up every time they were on screen.
Ursula and Vigo. Yeah, they no. Again, it takes a village, and you can't just shit on one person in that village when talking about the downfalls of the entire village.
It just felt very like pre 9/11.
Sure, but also, I mean, I've said this before. I don't think I might have said it on the podcast, and you can go back and listen to our Green Book episode. But it was a film that tried to make white people feel okay about racism or feel better about racism.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been films like that before, but it didn't, like, I was, even when we did Green Book, I was trying to posit positives from it, so we didn't just purely just be like, because when I watched it, I was like, this is fine. Again, the quality of the film itself, like just the if you watched it in a vacuum, it's like a 6 out of 10 for me. But you can't watch something like that in a vacuum. And that's a huge issue. And there were multiple films, I think, honestly, other than this was sort of an interesting.
I think Into the Spider-Verse should have won for both.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse was one of my absolute favorites.
No, The Favorite was great.
The Favorite was wonderful.
The Favorite was really fucking good.
Yeah.
What was wrong with The Favorite?
Was that your pick for Best Picture?
I think so. So I saw Black Panther. I saw Green Book. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. I saw Vice. I saw The Favorite. What else is there?
You saw A Star Is Born, right?
Yes, I saw A Star Is Born.
You saw Black Klansman?
I saw Black Klansman.
Did you see Roma?
I did not see Roma.
So you only were missing Roma.
Which did really, really well.
Roma, yeah. I mean, Alfonso Cuarón did work and got awarded for it. I think so. Shahir wanted Roma to win Best Picture. I think outside of Black Panther on that list, I would have personally gone with The Favorite, but Roma was sort of right up there too.
Why do I know A Star Is Born?
There's nothing wrong with A Star Is Born.
Okay. Yep.
And it's what I've coined as sort of.
Because I really enjoyed myself, but then that's also like, but this is the Oscars.
It's
so
a
this is
super
like a
familiar,
different thing that we're putting against. So.
It's a super familiar story, but told,
of course,
but
that's
told,
right.
But
that's
told excellently. It's nothing that's going to surprise you or shock you or whatever, but it's a comfortable tale that is told to precision. And that's something that I very much respect. And I think, honestly, it should have been a nominee, and it was. It just never should have won, and it didn't.
Correct.
So that's fine. Although I would have taken A Star Is Born over Green Book. Anyway, I'm sure Shahir and I will dive into this more once he returns. Any other standout moments before we jump on to the soup du jour?
Oh, my God. I It's so much now. I used to be like it was my Super Bowl for a long time as an actor, and it's just it's I don't know. I guess the SAG afterwards are now my Super Bowl. That's what I want to say. Yeah, and also Golden Globes, because television's gotten so good that this is kind of like, is this even necessary? It doesn't have the weight anymore, and they don't know what they're doing, because the production of television and the stories in TV are good.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely climbed to equal in certain retrospects. The interesting thing is, going back to the question of who the Oscars for, like you just said, they don't quite know. And if I'm looking, if it's supposed to be like to award the best in craft, that's still tainted by both the politics and the pomp and circumstance and the presentation that they're focusing on. So I don't actually think it actually, in a weird way, because they've wavered so much, it has given more credence and more importance to SAG-AFTRA and to Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, SAG-AFTRA, the actors are voting on the actors. You don't get a bunch of you don't get a committee voting who have never been behind a camera, or have never been a director, or who have never been an actor.
Right. Personal opinion, though, I don't think you have to be an actor or a director to judge a performance. I think
No.
I think it helps in a lot of different ways, but I don't want to shoehorn us into that sort of. Do I think that the Academy is the best people to be judging what is the best? Absolutely not. I think you need fresh blood, so to speak, across all of the production aspects of
I really just
film and
think it's
television.
like telling people where to move their money to the next project and what production house.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is an Academy person, so now if you this person's going to have this kind of clout. But now I don't even think that like if you've won an Academy Award, it usually bites you in the ass as an actor.
How so?
People don't work much. Some people
Yeah.
do not work a lot after they get an Academy Award. Halle Berry, you don't see like it just like Adrian Brody, like they get these. You see there is some pattern to you get the big award and then not all the time.
No,
not
but
all the
you're
time.
100%. You might have struck onto something there because there is, in any profession or endeavor, there is, whether it's real or not, a hypothetical end game. And the Oscars for a long, long time for filmmaking. I mean, it is considered in many circles the end game. You get an Oscar, and of course, that doesn't mean that you have to retire, but it might take out of certain people or the way people are handled. Like they've made it, and then like, what do you do? Like, and they lived happily ever after, and you're like, but I'm 37. Like,
And then like, but yeah, let's say like you win an Oscar and you're and then you want to go do like an indie something. I don't know if your team's gonna go let you do that indie thing. Like do you know what I mean? Like it might close doors on certain markets.
it does depend, I think, on the. I mean, this is the dumbest thing I'll say all day, but it depends on the quality of your team and how much people that you've entrusted with you
Sure,
trust.
everyone can make a bad decision.
Yeah.
No one's. Yeah.
But also, like, if how you want your team as an actor to handle your image and your quote brand, you ultimately have say over that, and you ultimately have say over how much day-to-day say you have in that, which actually might be a great transition into the film we'll be discussing today.
How did all of these people end up in this film
yes.
that we just watched 30 minutes ago?
If you have any answers, lovely, lovely listeners, you can email us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us at onlymoviepod. We would love to hear your Oscar thoughts first and foremost. In fact, if you send them in now, by the time we're back and Shahir's sort of
back to life.
We've resurrected him through the stylings of art. Maybe we pull his arm out of a giant reflective sphere and he's okay. Then we could discuss both your thoughts and his when he returns. So give us all of your stuff there. Also, please, iTunes stars. We know how valuable those are.
I love stars.
Listen, and please give us as many as you can.
I love getting them. I love giving them 5 of them at a time.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Good.
Yes.
But one thing, I feel like we've done 9 transitions now at this point, but one thing that won't be getting 5 stars is Velvet Buzzsaw.
And the moral is tattoos are art.
Well, they are, but that's not what I would consider the moral.
Cats are a great. People's feelings for cats is a great. Gets things moving.
It's a narrative motivator, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
I mean, that was the most human thing I'd seen in this film was when cats led people to do things.
What else was human? Nancy.
What was the actress's name? Natalia Dyer. Natalia Dyer. It was super fun.
The realest thing.
I enjoyed the hell out of seeing her in something else. I've run into her in real life.
What?
I told you that.
That's right.
I was at an escape room, an 80s themed escape room.
Not a room, but a room.
All right, let's not talk about New England for just 2 frickin' seconds, Midwest.
I'm Virginia. I'm down south.
down
we say
south.
room.
Room?
We gonna get a room at the Hotel 8 by Waffle House.
Whoa, a pocket card, Harvard Yard, and pay the guy a quarter.
All right.
But I ran into her at a 80s themed 80s themed escape room, and I was about to go up to her. I was like, oh, I think I've worked with this. I didn't recognize her from Stranger Things, but it was one of those moments when you work in entertainment stuff. I was like, oh, maybe she was an MTV person or something. So I was about to walk up to her, and someone swiped me aside and was like, oh my God, do you see who that is? And I was like, oh yeah, were they at MTV? They're like, no, that's Nancy from Stranger Things. And I was like, oh. I was about to be like, oh, hi. She was like waiting for her friends or something. It was very weird and fun.
Oh, that's cute. You're cute.
It was a nice moment.
I love that moment.
But the director of the film that we are discussing right now, which actually I should do the IMDb thing for. I think.
Hey, you know that thing that Shahir makes you do?
Yeah.
You should do that.
I'm gonna do it.
Do it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Because people don't know what the Can I cuss on this?
Hey, yeah, you can cuss on this.
Piss. Yeah, baby.
That was a little bit derailed, but we're just going to read what IMDb says Velvet Buzzsaw is about. Here we go. After a series of paintings by an unknown artist are discovered, a supernatural force enacts revenge on those who have allowed their greed to get in the way of art. I mean, that's not what it's about. It's not. That's not what it's. I mean, I have this thing when it's a little bit misleading. Like you could interpret the film that way, but that would require a resolution of some kind, and it doesn't really have one.
Oh my god, this movie is so god. I'm not going to say another complete word.
You will. So let's break it down real quick. So the director of this film is Dan Gilroy, who has also done Nightcrawler, and I liked Nightcrawler. We had an interesting. I think we did We've done too many movies. I believe we did a podcast about that. Go back and listen to our thoughts on Nightcrawler. But
my thoughts were great on that episode.
Yeah, you feeling punchy?
Yes, I am.
We haven't been drinking champagne. But the point of this is, this I feel like was much less cohesive than Nightcrawler. Did you see Nightcrawler?
I did not see Nightcrawler, and Rene Russo was also in that.
Yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal was in that. So like, that was sort of I was like, oh, they're back together because I liked their interaction, even though parts were odd in Nightcrawler. This felt like.
Oh man,
this is okay. Here's what I want to ask. And then we'll get sort of back into the directing of the film because I'm not sure where the fault of this film lies. Because here's some positives I'll say about it. It looks passable. The lighting is good. The camera movement is serviceable.
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Here's the thing. I think it's competently made from a technical angle. It's not doing anything to wow you by any means of the imagination, but it didn't nothing was ever an affront to me with the exception of a few edits that literally crossed the 180 rule. That's what you're not really supposed to do a complete 180 around more than 180 degrees from one camera point to another. You can break it in certain occasions, but a lot of times it's just really jarring and not in a fun way. But I'm trying to figure out where the fault in this movie is.
Oh, I think it's definitely in the camera direction. I think it's definitely in the lighting.
Yeah?
Oh, God.
Is it just because it's serviceable and sort of boilerplate, or you think it was actually so bad? Because I would honestly say the script is the major fault point of this
script
film.
Is no good. Some of the acting is no good. And I think the acting looks worse than it is because of how it's filmed, the music behind everything, and the lighting.
Let's break it down piece by piece, though.
Okay. What do you want to talk about first?
I was going to say, I wanted to ask you, as an actress who has read many a script.
I have read scripts, and I do that for a living.
And you've had to act scripts that you didn't particularly believe in, I'm sure, at one point and another.
Right. You have to make it sound good.
Right.
And that's a skill.
But
that's hard.
I know, but now let me ask you this, and I'm not trying to defend this movie. It's it's hard to watch in a non-ironic way, which is funny. All right. Pee or whatever you said before. Piss. Pieces of it are a piece of piss. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled piss.
Gross.
The thing about this film is the script is written. Here's how I would describe how the style of the writing of the script is. A college student who thinks that they are sort of like Aaron Sorkin, but also thinks they have an in on what people in the art industry sound like.
Who also read graphic novels.
Now now you're attacking graphic novels in general. What's the problem with graphic novels? Where did you get graphic novel from this script?
I got a lot. There's just so many expositions, and there's so many places we go to. We go to a lot of places. There's so many different scenes, and a lot of them aren't necessary. And it's just that would be a beautiful page of a graphic novel. But
you're talking from the cinematography perspective, and they just sort of had punch-ins.
And then also just there's so much exposition.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I listen. I made films in college. They're terrible. I have one called Consequence. It's about a vampire and an angel fighting. No one will ever see it because it's buried in the vault. But I wrote garbage like this, long-winded like monologues with big words and what I thought were deep ideas. And this, right? It feels like that. But from a perspective of like what we think high society art sellers and critics and managers
I think
are.
if you're gonna, it's such a art is so subjective, and if you're gonna talk about like an art thriller horror film, you have to have a better tone. Well, we're still talking about the script, right?
Sure, but the script definitely has a tone to it. That makes total sense.
Oh, the script, yeah, but like the way it's shot and like the locations, the actors are acting pretty big.
Yes, they're
acting in a medium frame. Okay, so that's like from the waist up so like they know that their frames are kind of wider, so they're going a little bit bigger. If your frame's like right up your fucking nostril and you're like in First Man and you're Ryan Gosling, you don't move, and we see all the thoughts in your brain. But like also with them, the camera moves around a lot, and so it just looks garbled. It looks like dumb. Like, why does the camera have to move with those angles? There's no purpose for that. It doesn't like punch in on certain things for the audience to pick up on. It's just, it didn't know that like you need the lighting and the acting and the directing and the script to all work together.
Oh, I mean, all of the groupings and the teams that you just described feel completely disparate from one another.
Correct.
I guess I just didn't have here's the interesting thing, I guess I didn't have a problem with the camera work, the cinematography, the lighting, etc., the locations, because...
But then keep your characters more still.
Well, see, that's the thing. That falls into more directions for me. Like, I think I don't know the DP's name off the top of my head.
They must have gotten into some fights.
Well, I feel like the director and the DP might have, or it could have been. Maybe Mr. Gilroy is sort of the director, and I have no idea. But actually, Nightcrawler had some good shots to it, so maybe he just had maybe it's the same DP. But it felt to me like it was directed. Well, it was a writer-director, right? So there's something that can backfire.
Oh boy.
That can backfire on occasion.
I don't know.
No, because I find that a lot of my best work comes from collaboration as opposed to just me being in control of everything. Because I think we can all be guilty of loving the smell of our own farts from time to time. Like, it gets to the point where you're like, right? Like, you have an idea and you're like, no, this is great. And people are like, well, what about this? And you're like, no, this is great. And you're like, oh, all right. Like, so I can see falling down that trap. I don't think he was really caring about the camera. I just think he let whoever was doing it do whatever they wanted, and he was trying to focus on this script and getting the actors to say it in a way that was the style he wanted, but that was wrong.
It was long. It was too long.
Yeah, it was long.
Way too long. So long. And we didn't know why. And like the scary parts weren't scary. There was nothing scary about that movie. It was so predictable. We were so ready for the scare.
Yeah.
And also, like, I just wonder, like, because it got made, and this is what it is. What executive producer said this note? What director said this note? Why did we keep it in like this? Why did the editor give us this? How did we get this?
How did we get here with so many talented people?
I want to watch the film about making this film. Like, that's what I want to see.
The interesting thing here is something I've sort of dubbed the Netflix syndrome. And Netflix, because Netflix has a lot of money.
And they paid no taxes, I think.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I know Amazon didn't. I don't know about Netflix.
I don't think Netflix paid any taxes.
But here's
billions of dollars.
But so they have billions of dollars to spend on creating media, right?
Uh-huh.
And they also are of the narrative, and we've seen it throughout all the different things that they've greenlit, television shows, films, etc. Sometimes you get like a Roma, and other times you get the Cloverfield paradox. Like, they don't care honestly about quality as much as quantity, and that's it's a valid business model. But I think that what they do is they find people that have had previous successful projects, or at least that are attached to previous successful projects, right? Like Nightcrawler.
Yep.
then they'll be like, oh, the director and writer of Nightcrawler wants to do a movie for us, and he can bring us Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo? Fuck yeah. And they let them go and do whatever they want. Sometimes, like in a case like Roma, Alfonso Cuarón comes in, and it's a fucking because he has this mastery of the craft, and it's rock and roll. But we don't know who, say on Nightcrawler, for instance, was the one to turn everything around to make it sort of better. It was definitely a team effort, as all films are. So sometimes you get people because just money is enough anywhere, and they're like, yeah, come make this movie for however much money it cost. And they don't check in as long as it's just there, and they just want the names attached to the thing. We have a lot of that on Netflix, and I don't think it's bad to do that, but I think it's an explanation of how this got made.
I think it intensifies the badness of how many good actors are in it and how bad it is. If it was some people that were not recognizable by the masses, I wonder if it would be like we'd be more forgiving or something. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. So I thought Jake Gyllenhaal did fine with the character that I did not like.
But then we're supposed to kind of like him by the end.
But are we? Because there's no real main character. It's funny. We're talking about this in platitudes because it makes very little sense. Jake Gyllenhaal is the art critic, and it's this whole art world. So there's buyers and there's art managers, and like there's all this political
gallery
turmoil.
Owners, and and that's so muddied and just like
and no one
quickly
cares.
Talked over.
Yeah,
like the only one, Toni Collette is a good actor in this. Jake Gyllenhaal is just eccentric, but but why? Is that because of the writing? I don't like what he's doing, and he's bisexual. He's a bisexual character. Is that? Oh wow, he's bisexual. Like I think it's great to have bisexual characters in things, but I just like. But maybe I don't know. Maybe that was I don't know. What were your thoughts on him being a bisexual character?
I actually, you know why I liked it was because it wasn't a thing.
I will agree.
It was not. It was not fetishized, nor was it the point. It was just like, oh yeah, people are different, and some people are bisexual. This character happens to be bisexual.
I agree.
The sexuality never sort of played.
I just wanted him to be a good person and bisexual.
Well, I mean, he was. No one in this movie is a good person
except for Nancy.
Her name's Coco in the movie, and I was like, oh,
really?
Yeah, it always came up on the phone, Coco. Why not? She's from Illinois or whatever.
D's nuts.
Oh, so the reason...
So guys, the evil that they're all fighting is a psychotic man, bad childhood, painted in blood, had science experiments done on him.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah. And so it's his paintings. So there's an old man that dies, who I guess is the artist.
The old man is the artist, and a low person in Rene Russo's art circle, who's one of the main characters, who was one of the worst actors of them all, finds the body and then follows the cat into the apartment to find like thousands of paintings that everyone
bad.
They're fine.
No, they're
bad.
fine.
But here's the thing that happens with films that are films that are about artists. A lot of times it's about writers that makes it a problem. But when you have a film about artists and you have to have characters be like, this is the most moving art piece you've ever seen, of course that will never work on screen, because even if and I'm not saying these are, but even if the art was great, it's still subjective, like you said earlier. And that does, like, you will never get, like, that's just a huge hurdle for a film to get over anyway, and this one just runs right through it.
They could have taken a little more time and made it. It's like good art for like decades past. And here's the deal.
Well, the guy was like 80.
Okay, fine. You look at this art and you see things that start to haunt you, and the art takes over, I guess.
We don't actually know the rules. The rules are not well.
Because that IMDb line says your greed is going to kill you, where it looked to me, those people would look at a painting and then become obsessed and twitch and tweak out and like try to like get the most out of it.
Chicken or the egg sort of syndrome as to what actually causes the bad shit to happen.
But like... And so this painting, but there's no rules about how. So usually the painting evil strikes at night when you're alone. It's sometimes that piece of painting. Sometimes it's someone else's art. Sometimes it's the art
infects other art.
Yes.
So
before, and it also infects, like in Lord of the Rings, like it's Sauron, and like when you dip the one ring into gold, or like into like the volcano, everything turns like orange lava, which is ridiculous.
Well, they just drop the ring into the lava.
But the lava is what I'm saying. The paintings
you're talking about
lava.
The paintings do like start burning all the time.
Burn into evil lava. And that is a waste of my life.
So here's a scripting and story editing problem that I think a lot of horror movies fall into, and you can totally see it in. You can see the opposite of it in movies like Ringu or The Ring. You've seen The Ring, right?
Yep.
Forever ago. That movie and the horror of it, even though the premise, if you're just like, oh yeah, it's a VHS tape that kills you in 7 days, you're like, first of all, what's a VHS tape? And second of all, like, that's dumb as shit. But the movie works
so well.
And the reason is there's a distinct set of rules that the movie never breaks from the rules of that world. And the characters inside of it don't quadruple speak around the rules or try to like make you feel dumber for watching them talk. There's just you get into a social contract, as you do with any great film or piece of art, where you become invested in it and you start living vicariously as opposed to just pointing and laughing. This movie tries to get across the Ring sort of style of there's a cursed object based on a long dead person for whatever reason. And if you do something with it, you will die. However, it's not as simple as 7 days being whispered across a phone once you pop a tape into a VCR. It's like you have to like hold the painting and then maybe sell it. And then it's not the painting that kills you. It's not Samara crawling out of a TV. It's you see a ghost behind you when you're in a truck carrying them, and then you crash into a gas station, and then you catch on fire, then you put the fire out, then you walk in and find a completely random painting of monkeys fixing a car that has nothing to do with the paintings that you're carrying.
We'll suck you into the painting,
and then they try to pull you into the like. There's
then like you're gonna be in someone else's art installation, and then you look up, and then a random hand grabs your tie, and you start like choking yourself.
We're giving a lot of spoilers, but they all didn't make sense. Here on out, we're gonna get like spoiler heavy. So be prepared if you haven't seen Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh my god! And then like the tattoo. Oh,
that movie's namesake. So let's even
talk about the
that.
acting. But anyway, go on.
We can.
Yep.
But every sort of like important moment in this film is telegraphed to high hell.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we find out that Rene Russo, who is now an art critic, they have an art gallery curator and an art manager, an artist manager.
Yeah.
You know, one of those things. She used to be in a punk band called Velvet Buzzsaw. And you find out about that sort of like, it's one of those things that happens in movies where you're like, oh, that's a random conversation that has nothing to do with anything, but I'm sure is important, so we'll come back later.
But she has another tattoo on her arm that we have to look at a lot.
She has a lot of tattoos because she used to be very punk, is sort of the
and
thing.
It was like, art is nothing in 1986 or something on her wrist.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that. So with this, eventually the characters find out or figure out. Jake Gyllenhaal's character figures out that it's actually, he thinks anyway, he posits that the art is what's cursed, and anyone who sort of makes money off it is in trouble. But we never learned that from anyone. There's like 3 third-tier characters in this movie that are like private investigators for people, or like all this other stuff that try to find out like about the old man to figure out what's, at first it's like, people are arguing over the legality of selling his paintings.
Yeah.
But then there's one thing where it's like, he was abused, and his father, he burnt him to death slowly because he abused him as a kid. And then he went to a mental institution. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Oh, and then they did experiments on him, like in this throwaway line. Like he was in a mental institution where they did experiments for 20 years, and then he came out and painted these things.
Criminal Minds has better montage flashbacks.
But also, there's two main. Not only is this structurally shit, it's doing something that I really fucking hate in movies. Lots of movies handle mental health issues correctly, and lots of them don't. But this one doesn't even. It goes above and beyond the shitboxness that it actually even, because it doesn't even discuss mental illness at all. It just literally uses the fucking trope of mental hospitals being terrifying places that do horrible human experiments on people.
It's just so just like a caricature.
And it plays into the narrative, and I really hate this about media in general. Of course, there are hospitals and things that have done horrible things to people across history, but like the narrative in media about mental health establishments is like, oh, they're going to fuck you up worse than you are. Like that's really what has been in most film
Yeah,
these
they
days.
always go to like electrotherapy because,
And-
like, I mean, we thought at the time that that was a good idea.
Right, but like, you know, mental health facilities these days, if you pick and choose the right one, like any hospital or any business you go to, are not all nightmare factories. And things like this help perpetuate. If you are feeling like you have that you need assistance with your mental state, when all media is doing is telling you, oh no, fucking mental facilities are fucking they'll hurt you worse. Like, you're not gonna go and get it. And that's just a personal pet peeve of mine. It sets you up. It sets the public persona of mental health facilities as like a negative. And so when a movie like this uses that as a crutch, and it wasn't even necessary. He could have just been an abused guy that burnt his father to death and then figured out a way to cause vengeance in paintings. Like, that would have made just as much sense.
Gosh, this was so bad. It's such a bad movie, guys. I'm sorry. I want to like review something good. Who was good? Nancy from Stranger Things was good.
Yep.
Toni Collette was good.
Everyone chewed scenery, but she chewed it, and you could tell she was having fun with the meal.
Well, not only that, a lot of times when Renee Russo would talk, I'd be like, yeah, okay. There was a lot of names. There was a lot of deals. There was a lot of like negotiations.
All of which was completely tertiary.
And then you would talk to like, what's his name? Who's in like Game Night? Who's also in Maniac? The guy with the earbuds.
The guy that got killed by the monkey.
Killed by the monkeys. The things he said were like kind of just a little too eccentric and like just a little over the top. John Malkovich, you believed wholeheartedly, of course. Jake Gyllenhaal, I was just like, But okay, back to my point. Renee Russo just was a mean like art dealer who played dirty. But I have no fucking clue what she's talking about. But then when Toni Collette talked about art and like trying to like negotiate and dig in and like have perspective and get what she wants, it was so much clearer. And
Yeah.
when my acting classes and like when I train or when I watch acting or when I'm acting with someone and you get these Law and Order scenes or you get like, I don't spend 24/7 in a courtroom. I don't know what that is, but I have to go audition for Law and Order and I have to fucking figure it out.
Right.
When I start to understand it and I'm doing a good job of like telling the story that needs to be told, you'll have people in the room where like before they didn't know, then you tell it with the adjustments and you're doing a good job. Then they're like, oh, I know what's happening now.
It makes
I
total
know
sense.
what's happening now when she would say anything. And then there was the one guy with glasses. The one guy.
Oh,
who
you hated him.
I hated him, one, because what a terrible choice to put him in those glasses because we can't see his eyes.
This is a character that is sort of the foil to Renee Russo in a way, another art manager / gallery owner /
We don't
dealer.
fucking know. We don't know.
All of them hired Nancy from Stranger Things, though, and Nancy found a dead body in every one of their galleries.
But continued to work for them. After the first dead body, she just kept going. But this guy wears these glasses. The wardrobe was pretty spectacular, and honestly, you would watch the movie for the wardrobe. The wardrobe was so chic and sexy and weird and avant-garde and like well done.
You just said a nice thing.
I did. I like the wardrobe. I want to wear those things that they wore. But also the guy from Hamilton was good. He was very grounded.
He was pretty good. He
He
was
was
the only one
very
that felt like a
grounded.
person.
He felt like a person. But this guy with the glasses, you could not see his eyes. And he always turned away from the camera. He never opened his body to the camera. You'll notice that is a good example of people who are open to the camera to catch how they're telling the story and someone who's not. He also had this scene with Nancy. I feel bad. What's her name?
Natalia.
He had a scene with Natalia.
Coco.
Where she is interviewing to be an assistant there, and he's like blowing her off, whatever, until she has a piece of information that sparks his interest. And then he comes over and starts doing this weird, like, sexual predator stance, like talking over her part. And I'm like, that's not the story that needs to be told in the scene. That's not helping the story. That almost feels like it's like trying to make your character have another level, but that's not this story. And I think as an actor, you have to remember, like, yeah, you can do all this character work and we can see all this stuff, but does that serve this story? It didn't.
Right.
Was there a story to serve? We have no fucking clue.
Here's the question about the blocking thing, about opening yourself to the camera.
Sometimes, yes, there's sometimes you want to be away, and then there's sometimes you want to be there. It depends on the scene and what needs to be made a point.
In your experience,
And behavior. Behavior.
Has that been your choice, or if you happen to not be opening yourself to the scene on something, has a director come to you and been like, "Oh, actually, could you just open up a little bit?"
Absolutely.
Right.
If
So
you can't
it's
get-
both, right? It's
Yeah.
the actor's choice and the director sort of noticing it or not noticing it, or their preference.
I think regardless, you want it like your eyes. We will have to see your eyes.
I am 100% in agreement with your statement. I was just asking for people that are not in agreement with this. Could a director be like, "You're distant, so turn"? Like,
you can be distant and turn, but like
there's ways to do it.
It's all behavioral, and it all has to, and you have to have specifics, and you want to. It's a visual medium, and if I don't see your eyes for the entire time you're on screen, I don't care about you. I don't care about what you have to say. I don't care why you're here. I don't care what you're doing, and I've lost interest.
We definitely laughed at his death. He dies. Spoiler alert. But it's funny because all of the setups for the deaths
Are so long.
Well,
It's so
they're long.
dragged
Hold on,
out.
I'm giving a compliment before I tear it down. Let's try to be right. The setups, like if I described it, for instance, is there's an attic installation in his art museum, and he steps into it because a camera or a projector starts rolling, and you start seeing footage of what you assume is the old man as a young boy being abused by his father, sort of thing in there. And he steps in it, then all of a sudden it stops becoming an art exhibit, and he's in an actual attic. And then,
what?
But no, but like, and then he like sees a light bulb flicker, and he goes up and he sees the old man, and the old man like grabs him by the tie and hangs him. Now that is a ridiculous situation that I just portrayed, but again, it's no more ridiculous than a little girl who fell down a well happens to say 7 days to you over a telephone after you put in a VHS tape that happens to show her crawling out of the well, and then she comes out of the TV.
Very true.
The story's not the story is not the problem, but the dialogue and the way the story is presented through that dialogue and the choices around it.
I do think tone, lighting, what they chose to show. I do think like
So maybe it's so interesting the different things we don't like, because where I was
so mean. I do like movies. I do.
I know. No. Oh yes, I hate movies. I mean, no. Of course, I'm the one on this show that likes fun, but I didn't really have a fun time watching this. But like, it's funny because I didn't think about
fun
this.
To make fun of it. My God,
I didn't think about this until we just sort of started talking about The Ring, because it's a ridiculous premise. And I think what elevates ridiculous premises to being something we can accept is all of the stuff that you said bothered you more than it actually initially bothered me. It's your cinematography, it's your lighting, it's your blocking. Like it's the building
blocking.
of where you are in conjunction to the camera. And I will say, this is something that you brought up and then I wrote it down. The music. You want to talk about the music?
Bad. Besides bad, it just sounds like it's from another TV show. And I wonder, like, if you took the music out of it and you watch Jake Gyllenhaal, like, dissect a piece of art and get into it, I might be more compelled. The music really does not do it any service.
It was a combination. There was some harp, there was some other things, but like there was even a part where after a fade to black or a cut, there was like a what are those called? No, it was like a there's a glissando is the word. It was like when you strum a harp at the end of a thing, and I was like, "What the fuck are we?" I actually wrote that point in my notes. I was like, "The music is fucking clown shoes."
It is, and it really just takes you out of it, like completely.
There's no question.
We're so mean. But man, it was bad. You know what? It was mean to me. It was mean to me first and made me watch it for 2 hours. So I
wanted to really like this movie. It was something.
You were excited.
And it was something that I don't want to say I should have known better. The only reason I say that is because we're doing this a little bit late in the game. It was released a few weeks ago, and there was really no fanfare or conversation about it.
They probably wanted to hide this in the shuffle as fast as
I think
possible.
It has a 63 critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 32 audience. It's not doing great. Not that those things should matter.
63, that's so high.
It's middling. But that's the thing. Like, I think you have to measure not only like quality of film, but like star power behind it. We have John Malkovich, Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, Toni Collette. Like these are powerhouse actors.
Yeah.
And due to the Netflix effect, we're in what I would consider, I don't know, a fairly subpar
Okay,
film.
so the lead actress is what? Oh God, she was in Blitz with what's his name? Jason Statham. She was in Nocturnal Animals. She was in Sherlock.
I mean, she's done stuff.
But not a lot of stuff. And she was, guys, I'm sorry, she wasn't good.
I mean,
you have no, but you know what? This could have been direction. This could have been direction.
It could have been direction. And I don't just want to say someone that's like, oh, this is bad. I honestly think it's a combination of direction, script, choice from the actor. Whenever she was on screen, other than when she followed the cat, she never seemed human to me. And at first I was trying to make excuses, right? I was trying to make like, oh, like maybe she saw the paintings and now she's acting a little crazy. But that's not what we were presented with. She just made the choices to start acting crazy about the art.
Acting like she was like coked out or something.
Yeah.
It was weird. She had like these twitches. And then like,
I want to talk about something I really liked. It's the star of the movie, in my opinion, is Hobo Man.
Of course you do, because it looks like it's a robot and it's a man. It's Iron Man, but horrified.
All right, no. It has nothing to do with comic books whatsoever. In fact, I don't know where your graphic novel stuff is coming from. I think Hobo Man is an art installation that they're walking through.
There's a graphic novel about Hobo Man.
If there is, I haven't read it. You
I'm just being a dick.
You're just being a piss. There's an art installation that Jake Gyllenhaal and company are sort of like looking at, and
also,
it's like
the art installation. I don't know if it's all supposed to take place in Miami and LA, and in Miami there is the festival.
It also skips
Basel.
back and forth with ease.
Yes, Art Basel, and it looks like just an expo for art, which is
you said it was the Javits Center.
It looks like the Javits Center, and it's like an expo for HP printers. It doesn't look like an art, but maybe that's, I don't know. When I saw all my like Instagram stories from art festivals in Miami, they did not look like that. So that was interesting.
But Elyse, we're talking about Hobo Man. So Hobo Man
was the face of Saw.
Hobo Man was this art installation that was like literally like an animatronic robot that said the thing. It was one of my quotes before, but like just moved around. It was sort of like trying to be, I guess, a parody commentary on homelessness. And when the movie had the very few moments that it did, because honestly, the movie is mocking the art industry. And the movie is, in its own weird way, punishing the art industry. There's very few times in this film where I thought they got the critique correct. And Hobo Man and all of the sequences, as dumb as it sounds, I actually thought the critique of the art community and what is considered art, and then like what they sort of turn into, and they say it's about a human experience, but it's actually about dollars. It all sort of culminated for me in the Hobo Man exhibit.
Okay.
The rest of it all felt like, word vomit and fluff that they were trying to get around to sort of like sound arty. But this was something that I actually was like, oh, this is an actual meta commentary by the filmmakers. Because it's people latching on to a thing that they think is ridiculous, but they are acting like it's amazing because other people are acting like it's amazing.
For profit.
And that's something that I think the movie started and wanted to grip onto, but as it went further and further, it spiraled down. Even though Hobo Man makes a great appearance at the end.
Where did he come from, though?
I know! It makes no sense! It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. This movie actually makes probably about as much sense as the Cloverfield Paradox.
What was Cloverfield Paradox?
It was the third movie in the Cloverfield anthology that Netflix bought because
10 Cloverfield Lane was great.
10 Cloverfield Lane was great, but they bought it from I forget whatever studio because they knew it wasn't going to make money, so they bought it for like $10 million, and they made a Super Bowl ad for it a couple years ago.
Right.
And then they made something like $12 million, and they're like, we did it, even though it's shit. Like they made a profit. Netflix is smart. Like, and that's why when I see movies like Velvet Buzzsaw, I mean, it's got to be profitable in the long run, in conjunction with the rest of their business models. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it.
It also felt like the actors didn't know what scene they were filming what day, and it was all out of order.
I wonder
and
how
they
many
had
days
no
it was
idea.
shot. Yeah.
And I wonder how many rewrites and how many like, oh, we're gonna add this scene. Oh, we're taking this scene out. Okay, this scene is actually like. I really wonder.
Yeah.
I really because none of the, I bet they're like, okay, we're gonna actually film like the 3/4 of the way in. We're gonna start with this scene first, and it was just like.
Yeah, it was a confusing mess, and so final thoughts as we're closing out
Cats
here.
were in it. Two
Cats were in it. And I would follow them till the end of time. One was a Sphinx cat that was adorable. Sorry, Zoe. Yeah, I don't recommend this at all.
Unless you want to get like high, drunk with friends, and then like make fun of it. Then it's a blast.
And it's making fun of it that is made in a sort of and again, I won't say an effective way, but a competent way. I would never call the filmmaking techniques are low, but still like it looks better than a college movie. And that's not a high bar I'm setting, but like it looks like a movie. It just doesn't look like a good movie. I don't want to like. I hate when people that talk about films like it's shit, all of it's shit, nothing's good. It's like no, it's just not. It's fine. It's a wasted potential of a cool premise, as we've seen time and time again.
What would make it better? What are the 3 things that would make it better? Just 3 things. You only get
Characters
3.
that talked like humans.
Oh.
Learning set and lighting design for ridiculous situations, a la The Ring, and implementing them.
Yeah, having a tone.
I
wanted this.
This had no tone consistently.
Yes, if you're going to comment on the art scene and the monstrosity that it is, and how hypocritical it is, and how much of a scam it is, you have to be an art piece too, and you have to do it through a certain artistic lens.
Yeah.
Like, let's really paint a world. Like Amelie paint a world, or like let's have like it's all black and white, it's all sepia tone, it's all film noir. Just some angle. This could have been a rom-com. Some of the lighting. This could have been like a bad Saw movie. This could have been like nocturnal animals, like sexy. I'm in the bedroom, but then a hand grabs me from the painting. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
I need that.
Well, and the third,
because like The Ring is dark. It's always foggy. There's no bright colors happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that's why the VHS tape, like a haunted VHS tape, works.
And it's so funny. Oh, sorry. The third thing I would do is just more Hobo Man. But I don't know if you've ever seen the Silent Hill film. Forever ago. It's based off a video game that's pretty well acclaimed.
You look through glasses and you see things.
No, that's They Live.
Okay.
But the Silent Hill is the same tone as The Ring, but like campy and B-movie. But it sticks with it, and in my opinion is still effective because it chooses a tone and runs with it. This one just didn't. So don't watch it if you don't. Again, as Elyse said, like you can choose it and watch it with your friends and do some Mystery Science Theater training, and you might have a good time.
Yeah,
we had an okay time. We sat there.
We laughed a lot sometimes.
We were having a day before this recording, and both of us having difficulties in various aspects of our lives. And this was, I'm not going to say the perfect film to watch when that happened because it didn't make us necessarily feel good, but it was good to chat through.
It made me feel good I wasn't a part of the movie.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the only podcast about the film Velvet Buzzsaw. Elyse, thank you so much
You're
for
never
coming.
having me on again.
And filling. No, I'm going to bring you on for something more positive because you get dark.
I'm sorry.
When you are not filling in for my favorite New Zealander's shoes, where can folks find you?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to get so many mean DMs. You can find me on Instagram, Elyse Brandau, just at Elyse Brandau, all lowercase. Yeah, I'll be on a TV show on Comedy Central coming up. I have my podcast, Speaking of Carrie.
Yes.
You can find me on NBC Sports, acting with Daryl Hammond from SNL.
Nice.
On a series called Draftsville.
Very funny.
Very fun. There's 2 seasons of that, and I'll hopefully another TV show soon. We'll see.
Yes.
So yeah.
Good deal. And you, of course, can find me and my life and works at MatthewKroll.com, MatthewKroll.com. Over there. Also, Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ on Instagram, or Emperor MSK on Twitter. Also, you can check out some of my work with the glorious team over at Extra Credits. We just hit 2 million subs on that beast.
What?
So check that out on YouTube. We have a lot of good stuff coming out. And also, I'll just plug Shahir. You can also see Shahir's work at ShahirDowd.com, where you can find much more intelligent discourse on film than either of us could ever offer.
Fair.
I mean, it's funny. Elyse looked really upset for a second. Then we both sort of were like,
No.
Yeah.
Look, there were some good things that happened today. The last scene, if you watch anything, just watch the credits. We're not going to tell you what happens.
Don't spoil it, but John Malkovich is a treasure. That's all I'm saying.
Just the credits, honestly, almost like redeem the whole movie. And John Malkovich is in it.
Yes.
So there's that.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Please check us out or send us in your thoughts about Velvet Buzzsaw at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or add us at onlymoviepod on Twitter. Also, drop those stars on iTunes. You know, that would be nice. And next week, you know what? I'm promising next week something more positive.
Oh.
Because I don't want to be the show that always poops on stuff. No, that pisses on things as we and we had to this. Sometimes you have to put your foot down, even when it's for something that you love. Is that art? I don't know.
That was a bag of trash. No, that's actually what happened
in the film. It was a bag of trash.
In the film, someone thinks it's art.
It's art, and John Malkovich goes,
like, "That's not art. That's a bag of trash."
Let's end with that. Bye, everybody.
Bye.